Welcome to the Deaf Go Getter Show. I'm your host, Anthony Amafidon, aka Deaf Go Getter. I became deaf 1 years old. So this platform highlights excellence, ambition, success, stories of deaf individuals around the world. Today, we have a special guest, Shan B Mama. She is a deaf mother raising two children, also creating deaf awareness and motherhood. As soon as she shows up, we're going to dive deep down her journey. It looks like she's on the live. I'm going to add her. Let's get started. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. I was sick a couple days ago. I was about to cancel the show, but I'm feeling great.
Okay, that's
How are you?
good.
I know you was a little bit late with your kid.
Yeah, a little bit of a delay, stuff
That,
happens, but I'm here.
that's great. I'm excited that you're here. And I love what you're doing on Instagram. Um, Before we talk about that, can you share about your hearing loss? What age do you lose your hearing?
So, at what age? I can't exactly pinpoint what age. I know that my whole life something was, wrong. Um, it started to get progressively bad at school where I, couldn't hear my teacher call my name when they were calling the roll, the attendance. But there was never like a formal diagnosis like, hey, this is what you have. This is, what age it started. Um, my father is a hearing aid wearer. I've known all my life that he's worn hearing aids, and his side of the family are hard of hearing, deaf. But as far as the age, I can't really pinpoint. I didn't really get hearing aids until I was in my 20s. So I went all through school, yeah, knowing something that was wrong, was wrong, knowing that, I can't hear a lot of things, but didn't actually formally address it until I went into the workforce. At 22, I believe I got my hearing aids. So yeah.
Wow. What but what made you decided to get, even though that you had like a what's it called, like a mild hearing loss, not a really progressive, not profound. You had like a what type of hearing loss did you have? Like a mild, was it mild hearing loss or
So by the time I got my hearing aids, I think it was pretty like moderate to severe. Like it was a lot of things that I was not hearing, and I just never went to like audiologist or a doctor to see like the degree of the level. Um, so by the time I got my hearing aids, I definitely needed two. I definitely needed over the ear hearing aids. I could not do like the invisible ones that were cute or whatever. Um, it was moderate to severe that I have in both ears, and it was like sensory neural hearing loss, I believe. So obviously something that I've had since birth, and just progressively got worse.
but what made you waited so long?
I
Like
know.
you knew you had a hearing loss, and then you decided at the age of your 20s, you decided it's time to get hearing. What
Like,
made you
I
say
mean,
decide that?
for so long I was in denial, like, no, I'm okay, and I'd always try to play it off, like be funny or just try to play it off. And it made for some very awkward moments in my life. And, just awkward, awkward moments or being awkward ended up being like my personality kind of, because I did not address my hearing loss head on. But once I actually started like a job, actual real job in the local government, that's when I was like, okay, I'm having trouble sitting in on these meetings. I'm having trouble answering these phone calls. I need to address it. So that's when I decided to, with the help of vocational rehab, because I couldn't afford getting hearing aids, I decided to go in and get checked and get my hearing aid.
Did you have like a stigma, like you was afraid to tell the world that you had a hearing loss?
Of course, yes, of course. It
Uh,
was like, oh, okay, this is like for old people. Old people wear this, and I don't know. It was so. once I got them, there was a long time before I could tell people that I wear hearing aids. I used to cry, like I used to tear up and tell people like, yeah, I wear hearing aids and this is what, I have hearing loss. And it used to be something that wasn't like easy for me to talk about. It was really hard for me to talk about it.
Wow. So I know we in the community we had this stigma because we're afraid how people might perceive us in a certain way. But
Hmm.
what clicked in your mind said, it's time it's time. I gotta really embrace that I have a healing loss. It's okay, but that doesn't define me. But I know who I am as a woman. What was that shift like?
Well, see, it was still a process. So I got my hearing aids at 22, and then throughout like my 20s and 30s, it was a process of accepting it. Um, got the hearing aids. There were moments that I would start tearing up when talking about it. And I think talking about it more, sharing my story more, just kind of just embracing it. I will say, once I became a mom, it shifted a lot for me. Like do I want my kids to be ashamed of something or not ashamed, or do I want my kids to think like this is something that they should be ashamed of, or if there is something that is a part of them, do I want them to be ashamed of it? How do I want to live as an example for my children? And that's when it really started shifting for me. Like, how can I be better for them, or like show them a better example of how to handle something?
Mm. So what you're saying is that when you became pregnant, that shifted your mindset. You know what? I want to be a role model and good mother to show my kids that there's nothing to be ashamed of. Was that a shift?
Yep, that's
Oh,
exactly it. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Not that I knew that there was a possibility that they might, because I am hard of hearing deaf. They might be, but so far we don't have any problems in that area. They're getting checked. I always try to keep in contact with their teachers or their doctors to see if there might be some concerns, but there's no concerns. Um, but yeah, no, it was really just that thought, like becoming a mom and wanting to be a better example for them.
I see. So it seems like you're deaf, um, the only deaf daughter in the family. Is that right? Or do you have previous generation that had a hearing loss?
So I have siblings. I'm one of four kids. It's my older brother wears hearing aids. My sister does not. My sister is the only one out of four of us that she doesn't wear hearing aids. She doesn't have hearing issues. My younger brother does. So yeah, we do have hearing aid wearers that are my siblings. As far as our children, so far we don't have any, like, my siblings and I have children. None of our children are hearing aid wearers or have tested that they have any issues with their hearing.
That's very interesting. So your brother has a hearing aid. Your brother has a hearing loss.
Both of my brothers. Both of my brothers.
Oh, so
I have
both
two
of you,
brothers.
brother, you're lucky because I'm the only deaf child that have a hearing loss. So it seems like you have someone you could talk to, like when you feeling down or have some insecurities. You're lucky.
So no, but see, see, here's the thing. So I should have been able to, my father, like I said, he wears hearing aids, and I should have been able to be like, hey, Dad, I am feeling like I have hearing loss or have hearing issues. What can I do? But in the Caribbean culture, I would say, we're Trinidad. We don't talk about feelings, and you know what I'm saying. So I couldn't approach my dad and be like, hey, Dad, I'm feeling like this. It just wasn't talked about. He didn't tell me how he got his hearing aids, so I kind of went into it like with no guidance, even though I should have been able to ask. And I'm not faulting him for it. I'm sure that he just probably just didn't know to share more with me, but I couldn't go to. I had to find out for myself how to get my hearing aids and how to get financial assistance for my hearing aids and what resources were out there for me. because I really didn't have any guidance.
It seems like I understand the culture where you have to be strong. You can't show any type of weakness. Is that the criteria?
That's definitely, yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's the culture. Hmm.
uh, if you had like a sister, would that change the situation? If you had
Well,
like a
no,
sister,
my sister was there. I have one sister that is, but she doesn't wear hearing aids.
no,
But she,
if she had a hearing loss, would that change
I never thought about
her?
that.
Because she is a woman. A man is like dominant, can't show it. It's maybe a woman, they can relate. Would that change?
You have a good point. I never thought of that. I think maybe if I had a woman figure in my family that would have said, hey, you seem like you're struggling. Do you want to talk about it? Sure,
Mm,
yeah, I think that probably would have been better. But I didn't have, even though I had aunts that wear hearing aids, it wasn't, there was never any sort of like, hey, if you are having trouble hearing, you can come to us and talk about it. We can help you on the journey. There was never anything like that.
interesting. It seems, wow, I didn't even know that you have people in your family have hearing loss. What made you decide you don't advocate for yourself? Or was there like still a stigma where there were like insecurities, you were afraid they might not? What was going through your mind that you couldn't speak up? The
Just I just guess we didn't just have that, especially with my dad. Just we didn't have that relationship with him where we could talk about, hey, dad, here's my day, or oh, this is what I feel. It was mostly just like you said. My dad dominant. He was the one that was the disciplinarian.
Mhm.
So we would be either getting yelled at or told to do a chore or something. Very like just strong male figure, and not someone that we could just be like, hey, this is my day, this is how I'm doing, this is how I'm feeling. So, yeah.
Interesting. And I want to talk about when you was pregnant. You have two children, right? Is that correct? So, do they know that you have a hearing loss or not yet? Is it a secret?
They know I have a hearing. I'm
Oh,
very open with them.
okay.
And I'm always learning from, what I went through. So I know my dad wore hearing aids, but he never said, oh, this is what it does. Or, hey, showing us we used to like sneak and go see his hearing aids. But he never used to say, yeah, this is what I use them for. This is how they sound. Um, so I'm open with them, and I say, do you want to hear from it? And I try to put it up to their ear, and they hear the feedback and stuff. But they're very inquisitive, and I don't try to hide it. I answer their questions if they have any questions. So they know that I can't hear like how their father hears, and they just try to. They're so inquisitive, and they're understanding for the most part.
Interesting. Were you were you like have these doubts that your child that may be having hearing loss? Is that why you was preparing? And you just, it was time for me to not be scared. You want to be a role model for your kids. Did you have those doubts that they might have a hearing loss?
Yes, I was very worried with my kids because they were both in the NICU, and when I think as early as my daughter was born, there was always some worry that there might be hearing issues because she was born at 30 weeks, so they did have to track like her vision, her hearing, and all that. But yeah, it was a worry for me because I know I wear hearing aids, so I might pass that on, um, and I knew I had to approach it differently than I had been my whole life. I didn't want my daughter to be like living in denial or something like, oh, I can't go to my mom and talk about it. Like, no, you can come to me and talk about it. We can get through this together.
Wow, interesting. So, how do you communicate? You do like sign language or just spoken language with your child?
No sign language. I've not learned it. Just spoken language. The way I got through school was pretty much just reading lips. Um, we know basic signs now, like, the baby signs like more and thank you and stuff like that. But I don't try to play like I know it because I respect the deaf culture. I have a lot of respect for those who grew up in the deaf school and, know sign language, but like, I don't know any at all.
Interesting. So it seems like when you became a mother, everything just changed your mindset. Everything just changed your perspective, and that just taught you you have to be a strong mother for your children. And I wanted to know, what is it like being a deaf mother? What was it like? Was it a big change, or would you have to go through certain like I don't know what's the word. Like, was that a big help you change your mindset and the way how you see things?
Yes, because before before I became a mom, I was just kind of just living for me, and I was okay with just living for me. So I would not maintain my hearing aids as much. I would not keep up with the newest like equipment and everything because I'm like, okay, this is fine. This is fine. This works. I'm just gonna ride it out till the wheels fall off. So once I became a mom, my hearing aids were so old that I needed to upgrade. I needed the newest technology, and that is what got me okay staying on top of it, the maintenance. Um, Also because these kids are gonna keep me on my toes. It makes you get creative, like as a mom, and what you need to do, like stuff that work for hearing people, parents, moms, might not work for someone that is hard of hearing or deaf. So I did have to kind of get creative with, as far as like the nighttime routines or,
I'm so
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Um, Continue. This is a new software. I'm just testing out. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right, I had to get creative with how I do nighttime routines, how if I'm cooking or something and I'm not focused on if they're playing, I have to get creative with how they're, get my attention. So it's just really, once I became a mom, being a deaf mom, it's a lesson in like patience and just keeping you on your toes and getting creative with some of these methods that this is what works for people who are hearing, but this is what I need to figure out how to make it work for me.
Okay, interesting. And I noticed that you created what you created a deaf awareness and a motherhood on Instagram. Like, wow. What made you decided that you want to create that page on Instagram?
So what made me decide was when you're a new mom, you get all these like, here's this motherhood podcast, here's this mom page to follow, and there's just a lot of information being thrown at you. But I didn't fully see myself in these podcasts and in these pages. Like I'm like, well, okay, here they're saying that co-sleeping is dangerous and not good for you, but I have to co-sleep with my kids because I take my hearing aids out at night. How am I going to hear them if they want to wake up, for milk or something? So co-sleeping worked for me. It was not seeing myself and being fully represented on those motherhood pages that I was like, I wanted to be somebody that I didn't see. I didn't have my own person that was hard of hearing that is saying what's acceptable for our community. So I would like to become that for someone. And that was the motivation for me pretty much to kind of put myself out there and share that support.
Wow, interesting. I see your daughter behind. So you created a mother page and you decided the deaf awareness. So I understand the motherhood, but what about the deaf awareness? What came into that? What made you decide to just do both?
What made me decide to do both of what was that? The motherhood and the
So I noticed that you did the motherhood and the deaf awareness. You talked the motherhood, but what made you decide to do the deaf awareness and sharing and document your journey, your hearing loss, the things that you went through, and giving advice so people that going through hearing loss know that there's nothing to be ashamed about the hearing loss.
um it's just because that's my experience. I wanted to share the real experience of, this is who I am, and I know there's people out there that are at this intersection of motherhood and being hard of hearing and a hearing aid wearer, and I want to share that so they know that they're not alone. There's a statistic that really sat with me. That is, what is it? People who are, well, women who are hard of hearing deaf are 2 to 3 times more likely to experience like mental health issues, yeah, than our hearing counterparts. So that stuck with me. And when you are hard of hearing and deaf, you go through those periods of like feeling isolated because you think that nobody else is experiencing what you're experiencing. So I put myself out there to
It's okay.
sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. This is what like a being mother looks like. It's all good. It's all good. Guys, if you have any questions, drop in the chat. Instagram, if you have any questions, drop in the chat. YouTube Live, if you have any questions, drop in the chat. TikTok, if you have any questions, drop in the chat. So I'm gonna go back and forth. So just let me know. Me or the Shan B will answer the questions. Just let me know. If you have any questions? This is really new, so I'm using this software that allows me to go on Instagram Live, YouTube Live, and
Okay, so sorry.
it's all good. It's all good.
So yes, so I just wanted to start sharing because those individuals that are out there that are moms and hard of hearing deaf, I wanted to be that support for them, and I just started putting myself out there because we don't need to feel more isolated in our experiences. Like, we're all going through something, and if it helps that I'm sharing my story and you see yourself in what I'm sharing, then at least I know that I've helped someone.
I agree. I agree. There's nothing. There's nothing wrong to be having hearing loss, and I applaud you for sharing your story because it seems like your hearing loss and your motherhood gave you a purpose. It gave you a meaning to let the people know out there if you have a hearing loss not to be ashamed of. I went through it, and I am a strong mother. Any mothers who is deaf, you can do it. It's possible. It seemed like the motherhood and the hearing loss give you a purpose. Was that right? Right.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it just really solidified like what I feel like my message should be out to the world.
Okay. And my next question is, what advice would you give some deaf mothers out there? What advice would you give them?
The advice that I would give them is to definitely don't feel ashamed to ask for help. Especially when you're postpartum, it could feel like really, like, you're up 3 a.m. and with the baby that's crying, and you're thinking like, oh my God, I need a hearing break, or oh, this is too much, because newborns are loud, and I had to keep these hearing aids on 24/7 when they were in their first 3 months. So I get it, but it's not a problem to ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in taking that break that you need the break, because your mental health is important. And just once you start talking about your hearing loss and sharing your experience, it gets easier. So that's what I would. Those are my main things that I would share.
I agree. And see, when you was little, were you having difficult like self-advocating yourself, or Yeah, would you having trouble?
If I had any difficulties,
Yeah, when
I
you
don't.
was younger, when you were going through the hearing loss, when you was younger.
Um, did I have any? I did not have any difficulties. It was mostly just a personal struggle as far as like I had to come to terms with them myself. You know, being okay with, okay, I wear hearing aids, but this is not a bad thing. This is a tool that helps me go through life. This is something I need that I can function, and it will only get better for me. So it was mostly just a personal acceptance. That was the main struggle that I had. But otherwise, I didn't have any issues. The what was the most difficult thing I think was when COVID and everybody was wearing masks, and I had my daughter right before COVID hit, and all of those newborn appointments her father had to go to because her father is hearing. And I kind of felt in that moment, I felt like less than a parent because I'm like, wow, I'm not even there for her first appointments. I'm getting secondhand information and I'm doing video chats, and that was a struggle to go through because it was like her dad was the default parent and I was like the one that was just looking at stuff from video. So that was definitely a struggle, I have to say.
I'm very curious. Is your partner is hard of hearing or deaf, or he's just hearing?
No, he's hearing. He can hear. Nothing in his family. They don't. They're not hard of hearing or anything. So he can hear for the most part.
Okay, I'm curious. When you met your partner, what did he know about your hearing loss, or was it after? Okay. If you have any questions, you can drop in the chat. TikTok, if you have any questions, you can drop in the chat. Instagram, if you have any questions, you can drop in the chat. Okay. Looks like.
Sorry. He when we first met, I think he knew like something was off, and just he couldn't put his finger on it. And I think at the time I was only wearing one hearing aid because the other one broke. Like I said, I was not keeping up with the maintenance of my hearing aid. Um, so it wasn't until eventually further along in our relationship that I was like, yeah, I wear hearing aids, and
Well, you told him, or he had
he
it.
figured it out. And then yeah, and
Ah,
then I told him. But the thing is, he actually really advocated for me to get better hearing aids, and
it's TikTok if you have.
sorry, so he advocated for me to get better hearing aids, and even like worked out like a payment arrangement with the very first pair that was way better when I first had my daughter.
Oh, okay. So it seems like your partner was very supportive of your journey, and would you say that he's been there through your struggles and your difficulties as a partner?
Yeah, he definitely is supportive in the sense of like, you got to keep up with it. You got to go to these appointments. You have to like keep tracking it. And also finding ways to help figure out like, okay, what's going to work for you to make you feel more comfortable taking them somewhere, or participating in like parent events or birthday parties and stuff. So he's very supportive, and not making me feel like I'm parenting alone.
Okay, that's good. So what are your I have two more questions. I want to wrap up the show. I know your daughter's waiting for you. So what advice would you give someone that have a hearing loss? Maybe it could be like a women advice. Like what advice would you give, like what if it's like dating or should they tell their partner they have a hearing loss, or not, or how would you go about it when it comes to women that
Um,
uh
so for dating,
uh let me okay, take your time, no worries. Instagram, if you have any questions, you can drop in the chat. TikTok, if you have any questions. YouTube Live, if you have any questions,
sorry,
drop in the chat.
sorry.
Me. Okay.
Okay. So for dating, I would say that she needs to just be open with the person. The best thing you could do is just let them know firsthand. I wish I would have not. But again, I was in denial for so long about being hard of hearing, wearing hearing aids. And like I said, I had a very almost like shameful feeling about it. But I should have just came out right with it. So I just would, the advice that I would give is just be upfront and, say, hey, I wear hearing aids. Is that going to be an issue? Because there was a lot of awkward dating moments, before I met my husband. There was a lot of awkward dating moments because I wasn't mentioning it. And I could have saved myself those awkward moments if I just talked about it.
Okay, I agree. Thank you for coming on the show. Before we wrapped up, is there anything that you're working on and you allow the people to know, or where can people follow you and support you?
So people can follow and support me on my Instagram page. That's the pretty much only page I have right now. It's Shan B _ Mama, MAMASQD. So that's supposed to be like Mama squared because I'm a mom of two. They can support me on that channel. What I'm working on right now, I think I do have an event coming up next month that I'm covering, that I'm excited to cover, because I do want to help like influence policy changes in hearing aid affordability. So I'll be attending like a Florida Health event, a Florida Health Summit, and I'll have more information on my page once I'm there. I got a couple of stuff brewing, but it's not like solid yet. But once I have that, I will definitely be posting it on my Instagram. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing major, regular life stuff, work and kids, and our first summer vacation coming up. So we'll see.
I know you wait on your kids, but finally, what message do you have for the deaf community so once they walk out this live, they'll feel uplifted and motivated. They can go after what they want and not let the hearing loss stop them. What message can you give them?
So the message I pretty much always like to share is, you can do hard things. So there was a lot of times back when I was younger, I used to talk myself out of things because I'm like, well, what if I don't hear? You're always going to worry about what if, what. But try to just remember you can do hard things. The worst that could happen, it doesn't work out, but maybe it wouldn't work out for the better. You don't know until you try. So that's what I would always share with the community. You can do hard things.
I agree. Thank you for coming on the show. I can't wait to see what's next for you. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.